meantime, let's speak of Karnataka government that seeks to restrict when it comes to media at the Vidhana Soudha. What has now been accessed is the letter where they have now been asked media to be confined for designated areas for reaction as well. And it seems that only the DIPR-recommended areas where the journalists now seems to be allowed at the West Gate. And this is now coming across as a security issue, according to them, as far as this development now is concerned, where they have been saying that there has been lapses in security breaches that has now been reported. However, the DIPR-recommended journalists are only allowed at Westgate. Now, this seems to be a move that has now been made by the Karnataka government, seeking to restrict media at the Vidhana Soudha. We have Neha with us right now. Neha, on what grounds are we looking at as far as this memo or this letter has now been accessed when it comes to restricting the media to a designated space? What exactly has been the issue that has made the government take this move?
Well, Amita, even as you have, of course, journalists who often have free access to Vidhana Soudha, particularly, of course, during the assembly sessions. Now we're seeing that a letter here that's been written by the Department of, Personal and Administrative Reforms to the Information Department has sparked off quite a massive row here in the street. Understandably so, it's a direct attack here on press freedom. Remember, while of course the Vidhana Soudha has several gates where journalists are often allowed to stand to collect reactions or to take bites, and of course carry out interviews of prominent leaders. Now, this particular letter here citing security interests. In the interest of security is what the letter reads, asking for journalists.
But there should be their own security to be present there. Why curb media freedom as far as its right to answer and to take questions from the government, Neha?
Well, that's absolutely the question, of course, that we continue to raise here. Remember, for many years now, we've been seeing press conferences being held inside the Vidhana Soudha premises. For several years, we've been seeing how reactions, have been taken quite freely across the corridors of the Vidhana Soudha, where we've often had access.
Across the corridors of the Vidhana Soudha, where we've often had access to, of course, speaking to the politicians. And now, after a security lapse that happened inside the Vidhana Soudha, inside, in fact, the premises thereafter, there was a theft of 300 grams of gold, which was proven, remember, Amita, to be by the staff of the Minister's office of Vidhana Soudha itself.
So has this given an excuse as far as curbing media rights and to question when it comes to the related ministers at the Vidhana Soudha remains to be seen, as far as how the BJP also now is taking up the matter to question the ruling Congress. Let's listen in. Well, what are the questions, Neha, that the BJP now seems to be raising? They are saying that this is an attempt to curtail press freedom.
Well, Amita, that's right. While, of course, press freedom is also one thing, very particularly, if you go through that letter, it says that, journalists should not follow the Chief Minister, the Deputy Chief Minister or other ministers from the back attempting to take a reaction while they're entering Vidhana Soudha, quite literally, now laying out very clear guidelines here of what journalists should or should not do. While, remember, this hasn't yet been accepted by the Information Department and this hasn't been implemented yet, the fact is the opposition too now in the state, the BJP here raising questions about why this particular gate or this particular access gate.
Let's put that out, reaction coming in from the BJP side, because, these latest restrictions could actually curb access to press conferences, that too inside the building of Vidhana Soudha that we are speaking in Karnataka. Let's listen in.
Imposing restriction on the movement of the media inside the Vidhana Soudha by the state government is the direct assault on the freedom of press. This is immediate fallout of the jewelry and the cash seized from the Urban Development Minister Suresh Bhairathi 10 days back. The government has much to hide over the happenings inside the Vidhana Soudha, and they, on the pretext of security, they are trying to limit the press movement to avoid any further embarrassment. BJP strongly deplores this emergency mindset steps taken by the state government. Imposing
Right. So this is the emergency mindset as far as the BJP is concerned, Neha, because they seem to be taking on as far as the government's own shortcomings in providing security is concerned. But, will these restrictions be imposed on all of the journalists that we're looking at? What about the DIPR recommended journalists? Only they will be allowed?
Well, Amita, as we were mentioning earlier, this is a request now that the DPAR department has put into the information department of the DIPR that issues accreditation cards to journalists. So far, it's only a request that they have in fact put in. The DIPR is yet to formally accept or reject this request of the DPAR, but of course the request itself that comes in here says that only those journalists who are accredited, in fact, or those who are recommended by the DIPR should be allowed, in fact, near the West Gate, near the West Portico of the Vidhana Soudha. Remember, of course, why this is rather concerning now, also from the point of view of the BJP, is that during the assembly sessions in the state of Karnataka, it's often leaders of the opposition that come out to a separate gate that faces the High Court to react, and it's leaders of the ruling party who often come to this particular West Gate that's being referred to here. Again, of course, further going on to add a question about whether there's an attempt to, of course, curtail the voice of the opposition.
As far as this call is concerned on part of the Karnataka government, because they seem to be giving an explanation that this is for security purposes. Thank you very much for the moment, Neha, for joining in with those details. We'll get your reactions on both sides back after a short break.